Well, hello from Soldier Field, just over 24 hours away from kickoff. I'm getting flashbacks to 2016 being on this pitch. I'm sure some of the staff and players are out there. Keane, you were here in 2018. It's almost the end of our week in Chicago, and it's been something else, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. It feels like we've been here a lot longer than a week, doesn't it? But we've fitted a lot in, to be fair. We got to Blackhawks game on Tuesday night, was it? The ice hockey team, and we got a cracker of a game as well. Was it 7-3 in the end? We sort of saw a hotshot called Connor Bedard, wasn't it, score a hat-trick, which was really cool, and the way the crowd all threw their hats onto the ice rink, which seemed like a bit of a waste of a good hat to me, but then the club offered 20% off on a new hat. So that was amazing, wasn't it? Just to see something different, because I know you saw a few different things when you were here in 2016, but I went to a Chicago Bulls game, which was amazing. But it was cool to see the ice hockey as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. Connor Bedard, the new star of
Remember
Chicago
the name.
sports. Remember the name. We might see a few people come out and make their name here tomorrow night. I don't know. It's such a different opportunity to come to a neutral venue and see Ireland play a game against New Zealand tomorrow, but also for there's thousands of fans around Chicago today. We mentioned it yesterday, but there's even more today. I saw my first All Blacks hat this morning as well, so there's a few Kiwis in town as well. Yeah. So it's definitely building towards a big event, and all the word is that this is going to be a fairly regular occurrence in the next couple of years. That Ireland are going to take games to the States, probably against opposition like the All Blacks, to try and sell the sport ahead of 2031 when the World Cup is going to be here, but also to sell themselves and their brand. And we're looking behind us. There's loads of people who are at a Captain's Run dinner, so they get to watch probably more of the training than we're going to be allowed to watch. And then they go in and have a meal, and I think it's pretty pricey. So someone's going to be making a lot of money out of this. And by all accounts, both the Irish and New Zealand unions are going to walk away from this with a tidy profit. So they'll be happy, and the people who travel are happy. I'm sure a lot of people would prefer to have the All Blacks come to the Aviva Stadium, which is the drawback. But I guess there's good games coming up in November. How are you feeling about tomorrow's game at this stage, Keane? I mean, we're looking at the pitch. It looks pretty perfect. A couple of weird colouring issues. I guess it's having to turn it over from an NFL game, but it's some setting for it. But will Ireland be ready to kind of take their live up to the occasion based on the small amount of game time they've had?
Yeah, just as you mentioned, sort of the patches on the pitch. I'm still trying to figure out what they are. I'm sure it's something to do with the fact that it's an NFL pitch. But just out of shot, the Ireland coaches are all standing in the huddle, and I could see Andy Farrell sort of stamping on the ground. It reminded me of Fukuoka at the 2019 World Cup when Joe Schmidt they're playing Samoa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The players are coming out now. You can hear it's a strange captain's run. Normally it's in an empty stadium, but they're actually getting a bit of an ovation. They're coming out, but yeah, look, the pitch does look decent. It's a spectacular venue. It's officially sold out, which means that all the revenues have been collected. But I had a look on the resale sites yesterday, and there does seem to be a lot of tickets still available. So hopefully come kickoff that it will be close to full. But like I said, the money has been made. Yeah, I'm feeling relatively optimistic. I think, like, not to kind of get straight to predictions, I do think the All Blacks are justifiable favourites, but undercooked seems to have been the buzzword of the week. And look, I understand the reason and the fears that people might have that Ireland could potentially be undercooked, but I think Andy Farrell will have them in great nick. I think the fact that the Leinster players were so definitely undercooked in that game against Munster, that they'll be far, far better for that experience now. As we see the players coming out, God, it's a big captain's run, isn't it? When you look at it, normally at home they're much smaller, but I'm relatively optimistic, I think. What about you?
I'd be more on the side of it's a huge ask for Ireland to be able to perform based on the lack of game time they've had, and there's a lot of trusting in Andy Farrell and him being back. You want to join us, Tag? I'd be more on the side of. Let's start again, shouldn't I? What's that? 4 minutes. I'd be more on the side of it being a really difficult task for Ireland to get to the pitch of a game against an All Blacks team mid-season. And for all that, I think we both don't think this is a great All Blacks team. It's still a team that's only lost out on the Rugby Championship on points difference. That's in season, in flow. Has just had a nice little break between the Rugby Championship and this game. Whereas Ireland are investing an awful lot of faith in this camp that they've done over here. They've been here. It must have cost a fortune. We were in the team hotel yesterday. It's so swanky. But they've invested in kind of that time that they've put into training here to build up, to be ready. The training sessions they did last week to get the match intensity. I just don't know how that's going to transfer onto the pitch. Now, like, thinking about last year's game, it was just so error strewn. There was disjointed. It was difficult conditions. I can't see them being as bad as they were that night. And I mean, they weren't far off. They were still right in the game up until the 50th or 60th minute. So they're never that far off the levels. But if you're a little bit off against the All Blacks and you get a bad start, for example, it's going to be a very difficult day.
Yeah, I think the fact that they've had that experience last year as well, it's like I can't imagine they'll be as poor again. You know, it's Andy Farrell's first game back. I know he worked with 16 of the players on the Lions tour, but I think they'll feel like they have a bit of a point to prove again. It's not it feels like a bit of a fresh start in many ways, like we mentioned. You know, looking towards the 27 World Cup. And the All Blacks' last rugby championship game in Perth against Australia, I think, was on October 3rd. So it has been a few weeks. I know they're in season and it's absolutely fair, but it has been a few weeks since they've played. They've named, as we discussed yesterday, a pretty settled team. But this Ireland team, I know it has a couple of relatively fresh faces in the likes of Stuart McCloskey, Tommy O'Brien on the wing, Jamie Osborne at fullback, but they know each other really well. I think there's no real excuses about being sluggish to get up to the speed of it, as we're trying to look around to see that everyone is training.
I'm just watching Johnny Sexton taking wide passes from Gary Ringrose off both hands, and fairness, Sexton looks like he could still be out there playing. I mean, he was the starter back in 2016. The starter tomorrow is Jack Rowley. We talked about him a lot this week. How do you think he's feeling 24 hours out from the game?
Yeah, we had a piece with him on the website in the paper today. Like, he's been very confident, wasn't he, the way he was chatting the other day? But it's a huge opportunity for him to lay down a marker. I think we're all expecting there to be wholesale changes next weekend against Japan, given the inevitable intensity of the game that's going to be here tomorrow and the travel and all that getting back. So you'd imagine he'll come out of the team, I think, either way for that Japan game. So it's a big opportunity to make sure that he retains the number 10 jersey going into the Australia and the South African games. And look, he looks ready, doesn't he? Like, we've all heard ad nauseum now at this stage about all the work he's done in pre-season, and we've seen the evidence of that. Munster have reaped awards by going 5 from 5. I know he wasn't playing in all the games, and I think now it's up to Ireland to try and get the benefits of that too. It's a big game for Jameson Gibson Park, I think. Inside of him as well, he had such a rare off day last weekend, or the weekend before, against Munster. He needs to play well and makes Jack Crowley's life as easier as possible. And I know, obviously, Jameson Gibson Park plays with Sam Prendergast on a regular basis, but they'll know each other plenty from Ireland camp as well. And I think a lot will go through Jameson Gibson Park, as it inevitably does, but the pack need to front up in a big way as well, don't they?
We are at the captain's run, and the last time Ireland beat the All Blacks in Chicago, the captain was the hooker Rory Best. Dan Sheehan will leave the team tomorrow. Obviously, Caelan Doris will probably finish the game as captain, with Sheehan probably going off about 50-60 minutes. But it's a big day for him. He's led Ireland before. He led the Lions during the summer, but this is a different stage. He looks ready to do this, doesn't he? He looks like a natural captain.
A good stat. I'm pretty sure it's right. He's been captain for 4 games. And 3 different teams, like you mentioned. He's been captain for Leinster twice. He's been captain for Ireland once in the Six Nations, and on the most recent Lions tour. Like, it's a pretty remarkable stat. He was never a captain in Clongowes when he was coming through, but he is born for it. I think, look, he's one of the best hookers in the world, if not the best hooker in the world. I think Andy Farrell was speaking yesterday about how calm he is, and that's certainly the sense that he exudes when we're talking to him. And there would have been other potential options to go to. Tyke Burns, obviously, I think, really grown into being a much better, more comfortable captain for Munster. You've got the likes of Jack Conan, James Ryan, Gary Ringrose, but I think again, Andy Farrell is looking towards the 27 World Cup by picking Dan Sheehan, because he's, all going well, going to be still nailed on to be Ireland's hooker by then. And yeah, I think he'll have a big game. He's up against Cody Taylor, who is another seriously good operator. And I think, yeah, like I said, the pack need to front up, particularly around the set piece. How are you feeling about the scrum battle in particular?
So yeah, I don't think New Zealand scrum is anything to particularly fear, based on what I saw in the Rugby Championship, particularly the South Africa games. Australia stood up to them. Now, I'm not saying that Ireland scrum is on par with the Springbok scrum and the power that they can provide, but we saw in the Leinster Munster game, Tyke Furlong's fit and firing. That hasn't happened for Ireland for a very long time. Porter's a brilliant scrummager. It was Paddy McCarthy who did most damage, and he's on the bench today. And I think I'll miss Joe McCarthy in that, and his power coming through the second row. But it's such a big day for his brother Paddy, and to be given and backed by Andy Farrell based on so little game time to come out against an All Blacks pack, and they've picked a huge front row bench. So that's going to be a factor in the second half, and how he copes with the power that's coming through that All Black scrum. But I don't see it being a massive battle. I think the most important thing for Ireland is to win their own line-out ball, and to kind of, it's been a while since we've watched Ireland, but whenever they play badly, it's the line-out that undermines them. Like, most tries come off line-outs, particularly for Ireland. So if they can secure their own ball, and again, you've got good line-out forwards there in Baird, in Henderson on the bench, in Byrne, and in James Ryan. So there's the ingredients are there. It's like, you know, we expect them to perform, we expect them to do well. It's just whether they can put it all together and whether they've had enough time in this camp to make sure that all these elements that we're talking about can come together. And the kicking game is going to be huge, and,
Yeah.
and you mentioned Gibson Park already, but also Jamie Osborne, the fullback. You know,
Yeah.
it's another huge test for him. And like he's bounced around positions, he can be a very good fullback. But again, in Leinster Munster, he didn't do too well. So, you know, Tommy O'Brien as well. It's a very mixed and matched kind of back three, very exciting back three. But New Zealand will put that area under huge pressure.
Yeah, they're all big lads as well playing in the back three. You have obviously James Lowe on the left wing. You've got two massive left boots as well, which adds a different dynamic. Andy Farrell, we know, always likes to have that left foot, but obviously they have two of them now, and you have Tommy O'Brien then as well, who's big, strong unit. I know he's obviously pace is his sort of USP, but he's a big, strong athlete as well. As we're getting kicked out, so
I think you're going for Ireland win. I'm going for New Zealand win.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Like you were, we run out of time. Cheers, Kate.